Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, September 8th, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. Looking for some people to come online. I don't even know if any of these things work. Let's just check Rumble quickly. Excuse me. I was having issues earlier. We are growing on Rumble, and so we do appreciate that. Let me just check Rumble quickly. Yeah, we're live on there. Okay, let's go. I don't know if anybody's tuning in, but here we are on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. We have a lot to get to, so let me get right to it. I did hear from our friend Barry, and he was having some issues up there. I saw you uploaded a video. I think we'll play it tomorrow, Barry, if you're tuning in or listening later to this broadcast. Pretty dead over on the Rumble. I don't know what's going on. Let's take a look. Yeah, maybe it's just Monday. I don't know. Nobody's in the chat today. I don't know. Anyway, maybe they'll watch it on the replay. Let's get to it. The White House has launched. Gunther's there. Shout out to Gunther. Thank you for joining us. The White House has launched Operation Midway Blitz into Chicago. So they're going into Chicago with ICE. We'll go over all that. There's been some rulings today from the courts against the Trump administration. Some for, some against. We'll cover those. Operation Patriot 2.0 launched in Massachusetts as well. More ICE illegal alien roundups, still well far off the pace of illegal immigration, of mass deportations that is needed here. There's a big prayer, America prays meeting at the White House today. One nation under God, Trump says. But again, and again, at one time I would have ate this stuff up. It's red meat for the base for Republicans. It all sounds well and good. But then you take a step back and you go, wait a minute here. All is not as it seems on the surface, and you can't take anything that Trump says at face value. Sorry to tell you, America. Sorry to tell you, because all signs point to the fact that he's in secret societies, that he's an occultist. And so when they say God, we have to ask the question, what God are you talking about? Because I have a sneaking suspicion it's not the God that the Christian conservatives in the right wing think it is. Trump's been talking a lot about getting into heaven. He's extrajudicially killing people, you see. We'll get to more of that. And MAGA cheers it on. He got the drug traffickers. Really? How do we know? They can say you're a drug trafficker tomorrow and drone you with no due process. It doesn't matter what crime you're accused of. You're still afforded due process under the rule of law, allegedly, here in America. And they're just doing away with that because the government says you're bad. They can extrajudicially execute you. It's wrong, man. It's wrong. It's unconstitutional. It's immoral as well. And so just keep that in mind. You trust the government, what they're saying? Maybe those were the worst drug traffickers in the world. They still deserve a trial. But hey, today they're saying they're all about God today at the White House. It's just ridiculous hypocrisy, and it goes against America. And so if you're cheering this on as MAGA, you're a piece of crap. You're a piece of crap, and you're no better than any other petty tyrant. That's supposed to be what separates America from the rest of the world, and they cheered on. It's same thing that QAnon did. Q put out, oh yeah, we rounded up all the bad guys from the quote deep state, took them to Guantanamo Bay for military tribunals and executed them all secretly. And a long time, all these people believed that, all these QAnon followers. If that was true, it's horrific and you should be horrified. None of it was true, but just say it was true. You should be horrified because that means that the government is a pure on dictatorship, full on tyranny, and they just pick and choose whoever they say are the bad guys and go execute them. And for you to cheer that on is insane to me. It's literally insane because they can point the finger at you next. Like, what can't people wrap their mind around these simple facts? And watch out when they're starting to declare emergencies everywhere. Watch out. Okay. Watch out because you're going to lose all your rights if the government ever honored them anyway in the first place, which they don't. But when they declare an emergency, forget about it, man. Forget about it. So all of that to cover today. Public health news again. Again, Bobby Kennedy Jr. is out there saying that hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied migrant children were lost during and under the Biden administration, many to human and sex trafficking. Well, why doesn't anyone get in trouble from the government who allowed this to happen if all of this is true? We'll play those clips. Now, Trump has posted a video on his Truth Social. We'll probably get a strike on YouTube for even playing it, but what the hell? It's from the president of America. We'll play you the talking about Thimerosal in the flu miracles and how it's bad. And these doctors, well, we'll play the clip. These doctors are like, well, we didn't even know. Huh? Yeah, well, we'll play the clip. Probably get a strike on YouTube. But hey, we hate Trump on YouTube. So, I mean, give us a pass for that. And it's right from your president, the sitting president. We got a lot of geopolitical news. We got Simon went on George Galloway's show yesterday. We're going to play that clip, plugging Weaponized News. Thank you, Simon and George Galloway. We truly do appreciate it. God knows we need all the free publicity we can get with a zero advertising budget. So we do appreciate your efforts out there on the George Galloway show, Simon. Thank you again very much. We'll get his call into there. And a lot of geopolitical news. A lot is going on in the world. We got election results from Argentina, Norway, France. Government has collapsed. They call it collapse. It's not really that bad. It's like, but in those terms of their system, it has collapsed. But it's like not as you would expect, saying if you said U.S. government collapsed. You know what I mean? Anyway, we'll go through all that. UK hems and haws and says there is no genocide there in Gaza by the aardvark, so they can continue shipping, I believe, parts for the F-35, if I can remember all of this reporting. So they can keep arming them. You know what I mean? It's perfectly fine, says old Fabian socialist, freaking Stalmer, and Lammy over there out of the UK. We wouldn't expect anything different. Nepal has had some riots, a video of that. And again. How long has Simon been calling it on the show for? Like, he called it like 2 years ago, something like this. I don't know, when he first started broadcasting with me here at Weaponized News, and we reported hardcore for a year all the time. Simon was on here, and now we see it's all coming to fruition after the big SCO meeting. America, Trump with his sanctions, but before Trump, through its hegemonic power in the world, is pushing 2 billion plus people to hate America here, China, Russia, India. And so that continues to be the trend. If you ask me, because I do believe in a global conspiracy for one world government, that there already is a one world government in place at the very highest level. I mean, hell, look at the UN, and then that's just a political theater on the geopolitical level. But it appears to me that it's a soft power transfer and may become a hard power transfer as tensions continue to escalate between America and aardvark, standing against essentially the rest of the world. And all these governments are corrupt. They're all bad. Make no mistake about it. But it does look like a soft power transfer, a new era, a new world order is coming into fruition here now, shifting power from the West to the East, global South, whatever you want to call it. The main players in BRICS, China, Russia, India. We got that news for you. And the Aardvark genocide continues. It's just quite insane. They say here now, Netanyahu says they've brought down 50 towers in Gaza in the past 2 days. They're leveling whatever's left of the whole place. And we got video of them taking down one big tower of terror. It's quite incredible what all's going on there now. Spain is the latest country to ban Aardvark weapons, ships, and planes. Spain bans Aardvark land-bound weapons, ships, and planes over Gaza. They're trying to act like the good guys and say they're on the right side of it. We got that report. A lot out of Gaza. Again, Defense Minister Katz. He's just a raving, madman. Says a hurricane of strikes will take out Gaza, and they say they've warned the people to leave. I don't know where they're going to go. Go find some rubble somewhere to hide under. I don't know, but it's getting real bad. Right now, they're bombing the hell out of Syria. They're bombing South Lebanon. They're bombing Gaza. They, I'm sure, will also attack Yemen again, as Yemen had claimed that a drone hit an airport there in Aardvark land. As that tit for tat back and forth continues after much of the Yemeni leadership was assassinated by Aardvarks last week. All of that to cover and much more on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. It's continuing to escalate there in Aardvark land, and their quest for the greater Aardvark land project is continuing at an accelerated rate by all reports here now. Let's go to this day in history. On this day in history of September 8th, going back to the year 70, way back, right, 70, we saw fall of Jerusalem. Roman army under General Titus completes the siege of Jerusalem by destroying what remained after 4 months of occupation and plundering. And fast way forward here in time, on this day in the year 1504, Michelangelo's statue of David is unveiled in Florence. And it is quite excuse the full frontal nudity on the statue, but of a male, but it is quite a sculpture, quite a work of art. Here is the statue of David unveiled on this day. You can see right here. And you got to say, it is quite a work of art, quite a sculpture there by Michelangelo, unveiled on this day in 1504. Fast forward a little bit here to the year 1565. On this day, we saw the first permanent European settlement in the United States is founded in St. Augustine, Florida. That's way back. You don't ever hear. First time I ever heard of it. Need to read my day, this day in history, right? All the way back to 1565. First European settlement in America here, U.S. Then we fast forward to 1858. Abraham Lincoln supposedly says in a speech, "You may fool all the people some of the time. You can even fool some of the people all the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time," i.e. Trump, i.e. the government at all times. And he's literally telling you, like, revelation of the method type of saying there, right? You may fool, allegedly, speech given by Abraham Lincoln in 1858 on this day. In 1916, on this day, we saw then President Woodrow Wilson signed the Emergency Revenue Act, doubling the rate of income tax and adding inheritance and munitions profits tax, trying to fund World War I there a little bit more. And then also in 1920, on this day, U.S. air mail service begins from New York City to San Francisco, California. In 1930, on this day, New York City public schools begin teaching Hebrew. In 1939, on this day, this is what I was talking about, the emergency. Watch out when they declare it, because any rights that you thought you ever had, they'll even say, hey, don't matter. They say it now, but under emergency, you can just forget about it. Limited national emergency declared on this day in 1939 by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, declares a, quote, limited national emergency due to the war in Europe. And boy, oh boy, did they abuse our rights in this emergency. They locked Americans up. They spied on Americans. They put Japanese Americans in internment camps. So there you go. Watch out when they declare an emergency, because they're coming after you too. In 1941, on this day, siege of Leningrad by German, Finnish, and eventually Spanish troops begins during World War II. Battle lasts over 28 months as Soviets repel the invasion. Well over 1 million lives are lost. What a horrific battle there. The siege of Leningrad during World War II began on this day. In 1943, on this day, Italy surrendered. U.S. General at the time, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and Italian Marshal and head of the government, Patrino Badoglio, gave separate radio speeches announcing Italy's surrender to the Allies on September 3rd in the armistice of Cassel. So only 5 days short so of the actual announcement on the radio. 1945, on this day, U.S. invades Japanese-held Korea. In 1960, on this day, nationwide release of Alfred Hitchcock's famous film Psycho. And then in 1974, on this day, American motorcycle daredevil Evel Knievel attempts to jump Snake River Canyon in Idaho, but fails, escapes with minor injuries. Also on this day in 1974, then U.S. President Gerald Ford pardons former President Richard Nixon of all federal crimes. And on this day in 2022, the FBI declassifies 270 pages of their surveillance files of American singer Aretha Franklin. They're spying on everybody, man. And then this day in our civil liberties history, on this day in 1993, freedom for the thought we hate, African-American ACLU lawyer defends the KKK First Amendment rights when a Texas state official demanded that the Grand Dragon of the Texas Knights of the Ku Klux Klan turn over the group's membership list. The Texas ACLU announced that it would defend him in his refusal to do so. The local ACLU lawyer who agreed to handle the case was Anthony Griffin, an African American. I would say that's standing by your principles to defend free speech, even if it's speech you don't like. Maybe the White House could take some hints from old Anthony Griffin defending the First Amendment of the KKK. You know what I'm saying? But no, they don't want to hear any of this. And with that, here's our segue. Operation Midway Blitz, of course, referencing the old Chicago Bears football team, Monsters of the Midway, they were called at one time. And well, let's play the report, and then we'll get into the news for you. Here's the segue report about the Midway Blitz there in Chicago.
So the surge has begun. You can see the new ICE vehicles on the streets here in Chicago. We're just outside the Cook County Courthouse, but that surge is part of the ICE-led Operation Midway Blitz that they say is in honor of a beautiful young Chicago woman, Katie Abraham, who was killed by an illegal alien drunk driver back in January of this year. And while we are getting reaction from Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, who says that this blitz won't make Chicagoans safer, let me show you this video. Early this morning, I was out with one of ICE's teams, and we arrested this individual. His name is Juan Gaspar, and he is a 43-year-old illegal alien from Mexico. He has been convicted in 2024 of forcibly sexually assaulting a child under the age of 13. He was taken, as you can see here, without incident, but this is all part of the exact sort of violent criminal illegal alien that the ICE operations hope to bring in, apprehend, and ultimately deport. We were riding along with ICE's Deputy Director, Madison Sheehan. She talked a little bit about this operation to us, as well as what she has to say to the Democrats that are criticizing it. Listen.
This is an opportunity for us to go into sanctuary cities and work against these sanctuary city policies and not let them deter ICE from being able to do our work, to go after the worst of the worst, just like the guy behind me who committed sexual assault against a minor. I mean, these criminal aliens have wreaked havoc on the American people for years, and that time is over. And even when we have pushback from Democrat leadership, that's not going to stop us. We're going to continue to go after the worst of the worst, just like somebody who committed sexual assault against a minor.
And this is just day one, Martha. We understand this could go on for weeks as they surge more ICE personnel as well as federal law enforcement partners. Martha?
There you have it. Not quite the National Guard, but it seems like it may escalate. And of course, who's going to defend? Well, Democrats may. I don't know. Seems like that's a losing position, but nobody's going to defend that guy. In the report, Supreme Court resumes roving immigration raids in California, yielding to Trump. This just came out today. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement can resume sweeping California raids, the Supreme Court ruled today, granting President Trump's request to continue targeting Latinos, Spanish speakers, and certain workers for suspected illegal status. And here's what Department of Homeland Security says, and they do show you these criminals, but again, hey, they all deserve due process, and if they're guilty of these crimes, throw the freaking book at them. You know what I'm saying? But here they are. DHS is targeting the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens who flock to Chicago and Illinois because of Governor Pritzker's sanctuary city policies. I think we have a better. They already made some memes up. Here it is from the White House. You can see Operation Midway Blitz. Latin King gang member procuring prostitution, domestic violence, drug manufacturing, aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, burglary and drugs, Trindagra gang member, allegedly. Remember, all this stuff's allegedly. This is just government accusations against these guys. Another Trindagra gang member, 2-6 gang member, aggravated assault, illegal re-entry, drug possession, DUI, Trindagra, murder, intent to kill. And so, yeah, if all that's true, throw the book at them. But hey, we got to prove it in court and not just government accusations. DHS, this from the Department of Homeland Security, they say Department of Homeland Security is launching Operation Midway Blitz in honor, we kind of already covered that in that Fox News report, in honor of Katie Abraham, who was killed by a drunk driver, hit and run, wreck caused by criminal illegal alien. Yeah, it's horrific. I mean, but it's a slippery slope here now. This one, it's horrific. It is, excuse the humor, but they're trying to like backhandedly make a parody out of it at ICE. And it is a rather funny character, but who knows what this guy was up to. Again, he needs a trial so we can bring out all this and prove it in court. Sexual predator arrested. This is what ICE New Orleans says. ICE New Orleans arrested Christian Soto Giuliano, a citizen of Guatemala. His criminal history includes a conviction for indecent behavior with a juvenile and was sentenced to 2 years in prison. They say, we stand ready to face any challenge, big or small. Here's from the Department of Homeland Security. And this guy, who knows? Maybe he's the biggest dirtbag, in the world. If it's true and we can prove it, then yeah, throw the freaking book at him. But again, hey, everybody deserves due process, because remember, they could point the finger at you and me and anybody and say you're guilty of this. And it could all be a lie, because the government are liars, okay? And that's what MAGA needs to wrap their thick skull around. But they can't seem to grasp it because their guy, Trump's in there, and so anything goes. No, that's why we have, quote, the rule of law. That's why we have constitutional rights, civil rights, human rights. Go down the list, which they violated all of during the medical intervention period, Operation Warp Speed under Trump. How soon we forget. This is a whole different situation of emergency. I understand, but the same principles apply across the board. They can't wrap their mind around these facts. Operation Patriot 2.0 out of Massachusetts was also launched. Here's a report on that.
ICE is once again targeting Massachusetts with another immigration crackdown.
State leaders are responding this morning, and WBZ's Penny Commit is live at the State House with the story. Good morning, Penny.
Paula, Chris, good morning. So the Department of Homeland Security is now launching what they call Operation Patriot 2.0. This is a new initiative where they'll be really cracking down on undocumented immigrants throughout the state of Massachusetts. Now, this was just released in a report this weekend. The DHS says that Boston Mayor Michelle Wu's sanctuary city policies have created a public safety threat. Last Thursday, the Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against the city of Boston, Mayor Wu, and Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox, claiming they are breaking the law by refusing to assist with immigration.
Well, there you go. Well, arrest the government then as well. They don't do it. America prays here. America prays. One nation under God. And they're selling this to us. I wish this was all true and we could believe it, take it at face value. I don't. Under the Trump administration, we're defending our rights and restoring our identity as a nation under God. What God are they talking about here? And of course, the Republicans out there, they think it's your Jesus of Nazareth God. I don't think so. Why are Democrats rooting against America? That's a good question that Trump put out there, because it's all political theater. To answer your question there, Trump, and it's easy to point the finger at the Democrats, and they're horrific too. Who would defend the Democrats? Corrupt Democrats and just idiots. But the same's true with the Republicans here now. as we continue to try to overcome the Republican Democrat political theater, left, right, Coke, Pepsi, binary choice of corruption that faces America here. Yeah, kind of talked about that already. They're trying to, ban transgenders from having their Second Amendment rights here now. And it's a very slippery slope. And then they'll say Democrat voters, Republican voters, whoever, you know what I mean? Just make up whatever group that you can target first. And tyrants throughout history have used the same methodology because, I don't stand up for the cripples. And it's the same routine over and over and over. So I'm not going to stand up for transgender, Second Amendment. And then next it is whatever. I don't like the color of your t-shirt, and pick it. You know what I mean? So let's see. Continuing. More of this. This is true. What is this guy talking about? What he needs? There needs to be a campaign to have him recalled from office. Here is ex-vice presidential candidate. Or no, way back to old Hillary Clinton's 2016 run. Old Senator Kaine there out of Virginia saying your rights come from the government and not from your creator. So basically, he's spitting in your face of the Declaration of Independence is what he's doing here, and declaring basically a tyrannical government, but then twisting it. And well, let's take a listen to Tim Kaine saying you get your rights from the government and they're not inherent to you naturally, given to you by your creator here, spitting in the face of natural law and natural rights.
The notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. It's a theocratic regime that bases its rule on Shia law and targets Sunnis, Baha'is, Jews, Christians, and other religious minorities. And they do it because they believe that they understand what natural rights are from their creator. So the statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling.
It's extremely troubling what he's saying right there. What did Gunther say? Well, how are these people going to get paid in what to come take your rights? Yeah, well, true. They got to get paid somewhere, somehow. President Trump is protecting the right to prayer in public schools. I didn't know that you couldn't pray in public schools. Another one of these kind of, let's take a listen at today's Pray for America.
For most of our country's history, the Bible was found in every classroom in the nation. Yet in many schools today, students are instead indoctrinated with anti-religious propaganda, and some are even punished for their religious beliefs, and very, very strongly punished. It's ridiculous. Joining us this morning is Hannah Allen from Honey Grove, Texas. A few years ago, Hannah organized a group of her classmates to pray for an injured peer. The school principal declared that Hannah's generous act of love was prohibited from taking place in front of the other students. To support students like Hannah, I'm pleased to announce this morning that the Department of Education will soon issue new guidance protecting the right to prayer in our public schools, and it's total protection.
Is it even a thing? I don't know. They made it a thing, so. Here's Trump saying he will, upon taking office, I also ended the weaponization of law enforcement against religious believers. They did go after some Catholics. I'll give them that. And a couple pro-lifers, they did go after them. I'll give them that.
Upon taking office, I also ended the weaponization of law enforcement against religious believers and pardoned the pro-life activists thrown in jail by Joe Biden for
As should be, you're right there, Gunther. Gunther says he's practicing self-defense is his religion. Yeah. America here, you're allowed to claim anything as your religion. That's why we love America. Freedom. They don't see it that way, though, you see. Trump announces that he will personally deliver the Trump family Bible used in both of his inauguration ceremonies to be on display at the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. Didn't he not put his hand on the second time? I do believe he didn't, but they twist things, muddy the water. Anyway, this is what they're saying today.
For thousands of years, the Bible has shaped civilization, ethics, art, and literature, and it's brought hope, healing, and transformation to untold millions and millions of lives. The Bible is also an important part of the American story. That's why I'm delighted to announce that just moments ago, I personally delivered the Trump family Bible given to me by my mother. I remember the time she gave it to me. But it was used in both my inaugurations and also display at the museum. And I guess it will now be displayed right in the heart of our nation's capital right here. And that's an honor. That's an honor.
Yeah. You have secret society undertones to all of this.
But to have a great nation, you have to have religion. I believe that so strongly. There has to be something after we go through all of this, and that something is God. But to have a great nation, you have...
Again, what God is he talking about? This is a funny one here. You hear about anti-Septicism, but you don't hear about anti-Christian bias. Can we get Trump to the, no. Here.
You hear about anti-Semitic, but you don't hear about anti-Christian. No, you have a strong anti...
That's all we hear is anti-Septic behavior. And you guys are trying to pass laws all over the place, violating our rights to be anti-Septic if we want to be. You shouldn't be. Be nice to aardvarks and your public officials, obviously, of course. America prays. So this is what they put on there today, an invitation to prayer and re-education of the United States as one nation under God. God bless America. In preparation for the 250th birthday of our country next year, of course, 4th of July, will be the big 250. And yeah, it all sounds well and good. It sounds wonderful. But again, never trust the government, especially Trump, because he knows what he's doing here, selling red meat to MAGA Republicans. And it's all good. But we must be critical and not just blindly, eat this red meat. Because aardvarks have a history of poisoning everything, as they are doing now to America. Continuing here, let's see, resources and ideas for times of prayer. Yeah, it's all pretty good. It's all pretty good stuff. Prayers and proclamations throughout American history. It's all good stuff. It's all good stuff, man. And they go through all these famous, Americans' prayers that they've said throughout history. But again, there's always this occult in the background, this Masonic history and secret society history of America in the background, sitting, shadowing all of this. That's very real. How many of the founding fathers, we know George Washington, many of them were Freemasons openly at the time. All these sources, but none of these good Christians ever want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the Scofield Bible, They don't want to talk about, like I said, the Freemasons. They don't want to talk about secret societies. They don't want to talk about any of this, right? So all of that is going on. That went on today. The United States of America countdown to America's 250th anniversary. And see right here on the White House website. This site's the story of America. And they do have, they have put out these videos. We probably will go through some as time goes on, as we do have, 11 months, maybe 8 months, 9 months, however long it is. We got a while, but I'm sure we'll go through these and breaking down American history for you there a little bit. But hey, America 250, we've shown you the corporate sponsors there, many of which are oligarchs. Well, they're all multinational oligarch companies. I'm sure we will revisit the sponsors of America 250, and it doesn't jive, you see, and it doesn't take even much search. You just go there, sponsors, and say, wait a minute, they're selling me a bill of goods here. They're selling me fake patriotism, fake wrap yourself in the American flag, and fake cheer on, go die in illegal foreign wars of aggression. Okay, who put it out? The old Wall Street Journal today. They say lawyers for Jeffrey Epstein's estate have turned over a copy of his 50th birthday book to Congress, which contains a signed letter from President Trump. This is the same document Trump previously denied existed. And here it is, and they're still denying it. They're saying this is not Trump's signature from Epstein's birthday book. And you see right here, there must be more to life than having everything. Donald, yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is, Jeffrey, nor will I, since I also know what it is, Donald. We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Yes, we do. Come to think of it, Donald. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that, Jeffrey? As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you, Donald. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Donald Trump, allegedly signed by Donald Trump. Of course, the White House is denying it, saying that's not a signature. This is all fake. And we're going to do this back and forth, and it will lead to nothing, most likely. But anyway, that's the new Epstein scandal of the day put out there. Trump's threatening to sue the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, their parent company. And so I don't think we'll get much out of it. I guess at some point, they'll put it in front of handwriting experts in court, and we'll get a ruling one way or another. But not holding my breath for this to be some type of major revelation. Trump loses bid to overturn $83.3 million judgment in E. Jean Carroll defamation case. And of course, a federal appeals court rejected President Trump's bid to overturn a jury verdict ordering him to pay $83.3 million for defaming writer E. Jean Carroll. You know, that's that wacky woman that had that interview. Well, she was all over mainstream for a minute, of course, with her accusations of Trump's sexual abuse. And then she went on, I believe, with Anderson Cooper, and was acting very strange indeed to essentially discredit claims that she made by her strange behavior during her TV interviews. But apparently the appeals court didn't see those interviews and still ruled in her favor. Trump had argued that judgment was both excessive and invalid following Supreme Court decision that expanded his presidential immunity. The appeals court decision came days after Trump's lawyers signaled they will soon ask Supreme Court to overturn a jury verdict in Carroll's other case against the president. And so it's going to continue to wind its way through the courts after this latest appeals court ruling. That is quite a bit of money. The ruling from a trio of judges on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit upheld the verdict in a ruling released today. Continuing here, Dearborn, are you scared of Sharia law in America? I don't know. I did see a lot of the MAGA clownfluencer accounts pumping it. Oh my gosh, we're going to have Sharia law in America. Well, Dearborn Heights, first in U.S. with Arabic on police patch. There you go, out of local Fox News Channel 2 Detroit. And so this is rather concerning. I don't know, what would you rather have? Arabic writing or free Masonic symbols on your police patches? I say it's a lose-lose either way for the American people. But this is what they're facing there now in Dearborn Heights out of Michigan. Is it a real threat, Sharia law here in America? I don't know. If they import enough pro-Sharia law and they voted for it, then I guess it would be a threat. Okay, this story has went viral over the weekend about this attack. Of course, it was horrific. This black man, and I saw the video. I'm not going to play it here, but you can go find it on the interwebs, sure. Was sitting behind this woman, Ukrainian refugee woman, Ira Zaratuska, and Zaratuska. Anyway, he murdered this woman. It was horrific. And he was sitting behind her on the bus and reached over and slit her throat. Quite horrific, but turns out, and again, they've turned it into Republican Democrat thing. Oh, it's all the Democrats are soft on crime. It's because he's black. The media won't report on it. Maybe all that's true. But President Trump, who under lobbying from Chabot and the Koch brothers, Koch brothers, can never say their stupid name right. Koch brothers, that's how they say it, I guess. Alleged, industrialist, quote, libertarian funders of Republicans. Anyway, President Trump, under lobbying from Chabot and Koch brothers, worked together with Democrats to release dozens of killers under the First Step Act. Remember that, his first administration uses the savage murder of the aforementioned their Ukrainian refugee woman, Irina Zaruzutska, as a campaign ad for GOP, all while ignoring the anti-white angle of the attack. Said a report by Information Liberation. And you can see right here, they are using it to blame the Democrats again. As we will never get out, it appears, of this left-right, Coke, Pepsi, red team, blue team divide here in America, and point our fingers back at the corrupt government and the oligarchs pulling the strings on these puppets, calling themselves your representatives. Did you know this was a real story of the First Step Act, and takes it back to the backstory on it, the backstory of the Chazidim who got criminal justice reform done. And of course it's aardvarks behind it there, but hey, they're the good guys. Her blood is on the hands of the Democrats who refuse to put bad people in jail. Partially true, right? But partially true also is that aardvarks pushed for this criminal justice reform. And it was done during Trump's first administration. And so he's also to blame here now with violent crime increasing. But don't you worry, an emergency has been declared and National Guard are on the streets to keep you safe. The government can't and won't ever keep you safe, but the illusion of safety, trading your security for your liberty, it never works out well. Supreme Court allows Trump to fire federal trade commissioner. So Trump has got some rulings in his favor today and also some rulings against him. Trump's actions are in direct tension with the 1935 ruling that upheld restrictions on the president's ability to remove FTC commissioners without cause. The Supreme Court ruled today allowed President Trump to fire a member of the Federal Trade Commission despite a federal law that is intended to restrict the White House's power and control of the agency. And so who was the woman? The court, in an order issued by Chief Justice Roberts, temporarily blocked the judge's ruling that reinstated Rebecca Kelly Slaughter while the case continues. And so more back and forth legal wrangling going on there, fight for presidential power. And then, yeah, as you guys know, regular listeners to the show, I'm a hardliner. I want the immigration laws enforced in this country, right? As we all should. But ICE profiteers here now. Essentially, Trump's declared a war on these sanctuary cities. They changed the Department of Defense to Department of War, all very troubling signs of escalations around the world and here in America. The billionaire oligarchs and corporations profiteering from ICE's deportation machine. But they haven't even started cranking it up yet here now. But hell, they're making a hell of a lot of money. Technocracy is. Take a look at this. A premiere on the billionaire barons and corporate profiteers enabling ICE's deportation apparatus. ICE oligarchs plus corporate profiteers, and the same old characters here. Mr. Technocracy himself, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Alice Karp. They all link back to Palantir as we continue to report extensively to you. Jeff Bezos, Amazon, directly to ICE. These characters, Warren Buffett, Moynihan, Bank of America, CEO. All right, Buffett links to there. You can see right here, linking everybody. Microsoft, Google, Citizens Bank, AT&T, Motorola, Dell, Comcast, Booz Allen. Some more characters here. UPS, FedEx, Morgan Stanley. And so do we need these? This is fascism, right? Public-private partnerships, I believe is what it's called. Here's the mashup list. Going through it here. Fortune magazine points out there are a slew of other well-known corporations across multiple sectors doing business with ICE right now. Major telecoms and tech corporations, AT&T, Motorola, Dell, Comcast, Charter Communications, and they could give a damn one way or another, honestly, but they're making giant millions of dollars from all these contracts you could see. I guess these guys only, poor Comcast, they need better negotiators. They only have a $60,000 contract to provide broadband cable at 5 regional wire rooms. These guys, Charter Communications, also very low contract there. The big dogs are obviously here. AT&T, 83 million, Motorola, 15, Dell, 18, and so on. Defense and weapons corporations, Booz Allen Hamilton, 51.9 million. To support ICE's repository for analytics in a virtualized environment, data repository. General Dynamics is receiving 9.6 million to provide background investigations for ICE. L3 Harris Technologies $4.4 million contract with ICE to provide equipment to determine the location of targeted mobile handsets to investigate crimes and threats. Again. See them pointing the finger at you, American tax-paying citizen. And that's why you should be concerned about this technocracy, scientific dictatorship, surveillance state. And we know the argument. What do I care about mass surveillance? I'm not doing anything wrong. Again, until they turn the screw and say, hey, we just passed a new law and we're going to retroactively enforce it. And whatever you did yesterday you thought was perfectly legal is now illegal. And we're going to put the full weight of technocracy, the federal government, on you. You see, is the problem. They would never do that. Trump's for America first. Oh, yeah? Continuing here, delivery service corporations, FedEx and UPS. FedEx got the $1 million ICE contract, and then FedEx has some smaller contracts there. You can see, follow the oligarchs and corporations behind ICE. And so that undermines the notion that they're just all American first patriots that want to clean up illegal immigration in America. No, it's a giant $1 billion industry here now that's been created. And going back to the last administration and the one before that and the one before that and so on and so on. And why does no one that allowed it to get this bad from the government, those in authority, that we give badges and guns and essentially a license to kill, why aren't any of them in trouble for any of this to allow it to get so bad we have to create $1 billion industries around it to try to deal with this problem? You see, no one in the government ever gets in trouble. We'll get to more of that here with Bobby Kennedy Jr. But before that, let's go to our live commercial break. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com, get yourself some stickers there. Here's our holograph sticker, the white background sticker, and the clear sticker. Put it on your laptop, your bumper, your guitar, your work locker, your Cybertruck, and help support Weaponized News. Independent reporting and analysis like no one else on the interwebs, shooting you straight here and not spinning you a bunch of partisan BS and cutting through the left-right divide here now in America. Here's a word from our sponsor, Abazaba Enterprises, and we're back with the second half of Weaponized News for you, public health, to kick off the second half.
Running a small business feeling overwhelmed by numbers and paperwork? Abazaba Enterprises has your back. Our expert business solutions include accounting, QuickBooks support, payroll, taxes, and top-notch consulting. Let us handle the details so you can focus on growing your business. Business Solutions Accounting, QuickBooks, Consulting, Payroll, Taxes. Call 559-577-9250. Call Abazaba Enterprises today at 559-577-9250 for stress-free solutions.
And we're back. Welcome back to the second half of the show on the September 8th, Monday edition, 2025. Thank you for joining us on to public health here now. What do we do? RFK Jr. says he sees no successes in the agency he leads. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. said he did not think there have been any, quote, successes among American health agencies. I would have to agree with him. Series of bad decisions, he says. And that's a headline out of CNN. I guess it's fake news, right? I think it's a direct quote from him. It was a direct quote. And then this has got everybody riled up today. Trump finally sees the light about miracles. Really? I don't believe it. But for YouTube and any other censors out there, so you can see this is directly from President Trump's Truth Social account posted today, 8 hours ago. Let's play the clip.
show them the Thimerosal bottle, which we keep in a metal container because we're a little afraid of it, and it's a very fine powder.
This is Thimerosal, which is labeled very toxic. Has cumulative effects, can cause damage to the kidneys, to the respiratory system, skin, to the nervous system. It specifically warns on here that it can cause reproductive and developmental toxicity, meaning that it can cause things like autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. This is immensely toxic stuff.
And it's a vaccine.
And this is what's in the vaccine. It's important to realize we're talking about a whole range of products. Vaccines are a big one because, of course, you're directly injecting it. For example, this is tetanus vaccine. This one expires, it's a little outdated now, in 2007. Here's the Thimerosal. 1 to 10,000 is a preservative. Perhaps the biggest one in the U.S., at least, that's for exposure to mercury is the influenza vaccine. Influenza vaccine is now recommended for all pregnant women, all infants, all children on a yearly basis. You're supposed to
have last year's influenza? Understand that Thimerosal is not added at the end. It's not like, well, that factory next year can make Thimerosal free. Thimerosal, you either have to have a Thimerosal free factory or you have to not have one. They add Thimerosal at each step because the factory is not clean and not sterile. So you either have to have an expensive sterile factory where you don't need Thimerosal, or you have to have one that produces Thimerosal. It's going to need Thimerosal or something the whole time. It needs to be stopped.
This is the influenza vaccine from Adventist Pasteur, their flu zone. Thimerosal, 25 micrograms of mercury per dose.
I'd like to point out that a lot of people didn't know, and I'm one of them. I've given 2,000 Rogam shots. I've been in vaccines for 35 years. I didn't know that Rogam had Thimerosal in it. So I think a lot of the doctors were unaware. They weren't aware that even the word Thimerosal meant mercury.
All we want is informed consent and to actually know the ingredients of what you're injecting. That doesn't seem like too big of an ask, and doesn't seem like it needs to be censored off of the internet. Any sane person would expect such from your medical providers here now. YouTube, you know what I'm saying? Okay, continuing here. Here's Bobby Kennedy Jr. again making the claim all the hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied migrant children were lost. Says they found 22,000 so far. Mayorkas is still running around. A whole bunch of government people that are involved in this are still running around with no problems whatsoever. We need to point the finger at the government first and work our way down from there. Anyway, here's Bobby Kennedy Jr. talking about these extraordinary claims.
What we've discovered is there was 476,000 unaccompanied children who were lost.
476,000 is the claim that he's making here now. That's a lot.
During the Biden administration, the Biden administration put speed over safety because before coming into office, they had accused the Trump administration, the previous Trump administration, of putting kids in cages. So they wanted to show, above all things, that they were getting the kids out of the cages, so they were not doing security checks on the people who came to pick them up, and they were not doing DNA testing, they were not doing fingerprinting, they were not doing income verification, they were not even doing identification. They sent 42 kids to one address, people who claimed to be their parents. They were sending kids to parking lot addresses that had, just had a container in it. We've now gone out, we've stopped that. We're doing income verification. We're doing DNA testing, fingerprinting on everybody who comes in and says that they're a parent. We are knocking on doors trying to find the kids who are lost. We've knocked on about 82,000 doors. Following leads, we've recovered about 22,000 kids, and we're going to keep doing that for the next 3.5 years and try to find every kid that was lost.
Well, if all that's true, seems like a noble effort. But again, government, NGOs, nonprofits, aardvark groups, Catholic groups, we know they're all involved in the smuggling process along with the U.S. federal government. When are we going to start seeing mass arrests of all these people? It takes a lot of people organized to carry out that number of human trafficking. More from Bobby Kennedy Jr. We need new blood at the CDC, he says. I don't know. You didn't like the last guy, the open monkeypox czar, Mr. Satan? You didn't like that guy?
These people are the people who ordered our children to walk around in masks. They're the people who closed our schools. They're the people who imposed social distancing with no science, shut down our businesses, and they need to go. We need new blood, and we need new people who are committed to public health and integrity and gold standard science. And the Trump administration is going to make sure that happens.
It all sounds wonderful, but man, we saw the operation, all these operations, and was it Moonshot? I forget even Golden. I forget even with the one they launched with Oracle CEO Larry Ellison. So it still feels like we're in this same. We got to get rid of the old, right? All the old technology. We're going to get rid of that and bring in the new, and of course demonize it along the way as it should, expose some truths, like a limited hangout type of operation here going on. And put the doctors didn't know, right? Like that video Trump put, well, we just didn't know. Well, damn, take some time out of your busy schedule and read the damn ingredients on the medicine that you're giving to your patients. Not too much to ask, you know what I mean? But hey, they got to make that buck. And so we need to be very cautious is all I'm saying. And it all sounds well and good. Yeah, hey, it's wonderful. But what are they going to replace all this with? The Biden administration gave the okay to dump $2 million of your tax money into New York City to support, quote, anything goes safe drug injection sites. And of course, this is a horrific idea. Essentially drug dens. And so obviously we can't enable the addiction of freaking junkies. And the last report here on public health is aardvark startup. This sounds quite horrific, actually. Red Sea Biotech aims to replace donors with lab-grown blood from stem cells. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a real thing here now. Red Sea Biotech says its lab-grown blood could prevent the deaths of 2 million people a year, solving shortages that leaves hospitals worldwide without safe, reliable supplies during emergencies, wars, and disasters. The aardvark biotech startup is developing technology it says could revolutionize the global blood supply by producing universal red blood cells from stem cells on an industrial scale. It sounds quite horrific, honestly, to me. And we still need to address the whole issue of the blood supply being potentially contaminated by all of the mRNA miracle out there as well. That needs to be properly addressed. And it's like hemming and hawing around the edges, but nothing concrete on that issue as they're rolling out lab-grown blood. I'll pass. Here is Simon appearing yesterday on George Galloway Moat Show. Let's play this as they plugged Weaponized News. Shout out to Simon again.
Simon from Weaponized News on the latest secondary sanctions on Russia. Simon, welcome.
Mr. Galloway, to your worldwide audience, and please excuse my enforced absence, but it's reassuring to know that you have at least another 10 years to go until you'll be old enough that the Metropolitan Police will dare to arrest you for protesting against genocide. So we have another decade of your wisdom to look forward to in that regard.
Thank you.
The reason for my call was it seems that F-35s, which obviously are the top American jet, have been sent to Puerto Rico. So it does look like air power is being introduced to the previously naval blockade of Venezuela. And in leaving the White House, President Trump has commented that he's ready to engage in what he called the second phase of sanctions against Russia, which initially was confusing as to whether or not he meant secondary sanctions or the second phase, given as we know that the European Union are currently on package number 19 of their sanctions. And indeed, 19. In that regard, the American Treasury Secretary has been on Sunday morning television in the United States, and he has blatantly called for the European Union to follow America's lead in engaging in secondary sanctions, which of course would involve India, just a week after Prime Minister Modi's very successful trip to Tianjin, which you discussed on Wednesday. And so that's going to present a bit of a problem, because obviously Britain's just done a free trade agreement, a massive free trade agreement with India, and the European Union are at a very advanced stage of doing a free trade agreement with India. And are they now going to assume their normal position of obedient vassals and do as told by the Americans, completely overturning all the years and years and years of negotiations that they have embarked on in order to try and increase global trade? To that end, tomorrow, President Lula of Brazil has called an emergency Zoom summit of the BRICS leaders, though in some cases they're going to be represented by their foreign ministers, specifically to discuss two issues, one of which is true multilateralism, which means independent countries, not NATO bloc voting, but also the very pressing issue of American tariffs. And that's interesting because we've just seen CELAC vote on a resolution intended to condemn American aggression against Venezuela. But the organization which stands for Central America, Latin America, and the Caribbean, CELAC, C-E-L-A-C, they split 21-9 on the issue. And it turns out that there are some countries like Trinidad and Tobago right off the coast who are actually expressing a willingness to act as a launching pad for an American attack on Venezuela. So it could actually, much like World War I, not just engulf the whole region in conflict against America, but actually split it 2/3 to 1/3 as well. So indeed, as you've indicated, a very, very difficult situation with ramifications around the world.
Difficult and dangerous. Simon, I don't know if you caught it, but the United Nations is going to have to meet in Geneva because the Americans have denied, first, the Palestinian delegates a visa to go to the United Nations, of which they are members, to discuss their admission into full membership of the United Nations. But the Americans have now banned Iran and Brazil from the United Nations in New York, calling into not just question, but actually making ridiculous the idea that anything calling itself the United Nations can be situated in New York City, because if the Americans can decide who can attend the United Nations, well, it makes a mockery of it, doesn't it?
Well, indeed, and there is actually clear international law. The Americans signed an agreement when they agreed to host the headquarters of the United Nations on land that was actually donated by the Rockefellers, that they would always allow delegations to attend important events such as the annual opening, what they call high-level meetings. And they were trying to dodge out of that obligation by saying that Palestine was only an observer state rather than the full member, And that itself was because America had vetoed them becoming a full member. So that was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. But now the step that they've taken against the Iranians and Brazilians are quite unequivocal, because those indeed are full members of the United Nations. Now, this is the second time this has happened. It happened previously to Yasser Arafat, and then the meeting was moved to Geneva. But ironically now, this type of thing is very popular with the MAGA base, because they don't like the United Nations, nor do they like it being situated inside the United States. So it may actually please the whole world and the MAGA base if not just this one meeting were moved to Geneva, but the entire organization's headquarters were moved in the long run to Geneva, possibly as part of the global governance initiative that the Chinese Foreign Ministry published alongside President Xi's speech to the SCO Plus meeting on last Monday, that talks about reinforcing the true origins of the United Nations and its purposes, evolving global governance as opposed to having a revolution. And very, very few organizations, unlike Weaponized News, have actually bothered to go through that paragraph by paragraph, as we did last week, to see what the fourth leg of the initiative schemes proposed by President Xi, that include the Global Security Initiative, the Global Development Initiative, the Global Civilization Initiative, and now his latest, the fourth leg of the chair, the Global Governance Initiative, which even some of the European think tanks were saying hadn't been fleshed out because they hadn't bothered looking at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China website, where it was posted in many, many languages. So with that, I'll leave you so you can take some of your other callers, and it's been a pleasure to speak with you again.
Many thanks, Simon, for, as always, erudition is our hallmark. Should the Pentagon be...
There you go. That was a great call by Simon. And yeah, we did go over the Global Governance Initiative there out of China last week. I read it on Thursday, I believe, telling us all about it. Artist over there in the UK, Banksy, has dropped a new street art here depicting, and of course that's the thumbnail for today's show, depicting a judge striking a protester as blood splatters their place card. The artwork follows the arrest of some estimated almost 900 people at a pro-Palestinian protest in London 2 days prior. Here is said image a little bit closer up on the streets there in London. And then here's a little mashup that the state TV RT, Russia television, put together. Banksy's decades-long secret identity possibly unmasked by latest mural. Police to launch criminal damage investigation as graffiti targeted grade 1 of exceptional interest building. Let's watch this short video. Of course, social commentary through art seems to be able to break through, and much of Banksy's art, they're very iconic and very anti-war and the issues of the day. So London may go after him next, or her, or whoever Banksy is. Them, they, who knows who it is. Allegedly anonymous. We don't know publicly. But it looks like UK is going to go after him now for graffiti. Maybe. Argentina President Milei suffers crushing defeat in Buenos Aires provincial election. But I thought Mr. Chainsaw cut through the government, converting to aardvarkism was the greatest anarcho-libertarian capitalist the world's ever seen. Turns out another mixed bag. Red meat, obviously. Looks awesome, hates socialism, all this, but then you start digging into it, as we reported here at Weaponized News, and things started getting very, very sketchy. His conversion to aardvarkism. The people there in Argentina not happy. Milei suffers a sweeping setback yesterday in Buenos Aires provincial election, widely viewed as a political test for his Libertarian Party and a barometer for how it will perform in critical and crucial congressional midterms next month. Milei's recently formed La Libertad Avanza party captured just 34% of the vote in Argentina's biggest province, losing by a landslide to the left-leaning party there, which secured 47% of, with the majority of ballots counted. So he's trying to take away a lot of free stuff, and obviously people don't like that, and so they're going to get pushed back. But this guy's not all well and good and pure, as we have continued to report. He seems very compromised as well, with the libertarian anarcho-capitalist mask on there and his chainsaw cutting through government as a front. So don't be deceived by the red meat. I think maybe the overall theme of this show is we're getting a lot of red meat, but you peel one little layer of that onion back and you see same old corruption, just a different flavor. Japanese Prime Minister announces his resignation abruptly. Let's watch this report.
And the thoughts of the people and the thoughts of the party, it's about how we think about the gap between the two. We always need to think about this.
Shoot, that guy should have resigned a long time ago. Anyway, Oshiba, Japan Prime Minister, to resign. Election results in Norway. Norway center left, led by Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store, holds a slim lead with 89 seats projected, just over the 85 needed for a majority, despite gains from the right-wing Progress Party and the Conservatives' worst result in 20 years out of Norway. The French government has collapsed for the second time in 9 months. French Prime Minister Bayrou loses confidence vote in National Assembly. So this character right here is on his way out, as it looks like old Macron is going to be forced to call another election, as confidence has been lost there. The United States has ended agreements with over 20 European and African countries to jointly combat disinformation from Russia, China, and Iran. These agreements, created under the Biden administration via the now defunct Global Engagement Center, aim to coordinate efforts against foreign propaganda, according to the Financial Times. Many of those efforts are pointed right here at home at America, calling American citizens everything from Russian agents to Iranian terrorists on the interwebs with their fact checkers. The UK government, again, I think we already made this report, but again, the UK government, based on a Foreign Office assessment, has concluded that Aardvark's land's actions in Gaza do not meet the legal definition of genocide, and so they will continue to ship parts for F-35s and other munitions to Aardvark land. Quite horrific indeed there. At least 14 killed as Nepal's Generation Z protests erupt over corruption and a sudden social media ban, sparking violent clashes with security forces. Let's watch this short clip. They're having riots there in Nepal. Not this again. We were doing all good with the buffering until this clip. Let's try it again. Excuse me. Sometimes they, the old X likes to throttle. Here we go. So you can see there in Nepal, a large amount of protesters overwhelming the police. Putin joins extraordinary, as Simon mentioned there on the Galloway call yesterday, Putin joins extraordinary online BRICS conference meeting closed to the media. And they did do an emergency BRICS meeting there, cooperation between BRICS member countries in trade, economic, financial, and investment spheres were discussed. India's foreign minister takes a swing at Western tariffs. And again, these tariffs by Trump are pushing India and sanctions for Russian oil, buying Russian oil, has pushed India into the arms of Russia and China. Now, Colonel Lawrence Wilkes, 2 billion people, this is the same kind of analysis that we've been bringing you here at Weaponized News, says that 2 billion people, 1/3 of humanity, is now aligned forcibly and powerfully against the U.S. empire and its vassals in Western Europe. Speaking about what just happened at this latest SCO meeting, India, China, and Russia. Let's hear this quick clip.
And I mean, it could already have nuclear weapons, and certainly could North Korea play a role here in exerting a deterrent on Israel?
I don't think North Korea would play that role. I think you're looking at another nuclear power that might play that role if it were called upon to do so, but I don't think they're going to, and that would be Russia, of course. I think probably some of the deliberations at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization recent summit must have been on that very thing. What is the possibility with regard to deterrence and with regard to threatening and other things you might do with nuclear weapons? Putin has been very explicit about it at times, and very smart and very wise about the way he uses that, but doesn't go quite far enough. I think we're looking at a realignment of, as I've said many times, we're looking at a complete realignment of power in the world. And this summit was a manifestation of that. Not only was it China and Russia, but it was Modi and India too. We're talking about 2+ billion people. We're talking about 1/3 of the freaking world is now aligned forcibly and powerfully against the American empire and against its vassals in Western Europe.
New era, new world order. And again, I'm contending there is a conspiracy at the top levels of these governments, and this is all planned, and it's not by mistake. Using tariffs America first as the cover, as Trump is the puppet now in charge to pull the strings to make this soft power transfer happen, and may very well become a hard power transfer very soon, as a Department of War has been named on Friday here now, right? Erdogan, another corrupt dude. Can't trust this guy. But he says, in these troubled days with Netanyahu government has completely gone off the rails, Turkey stands with oppressed people of Gaza with all means. Really, send in your Turkish troops there to defend them. That's not going to happen. So again, good rhetoric out of Erdogan, out of Turkey, but not much action. He says he's cut off all economic relations there with aardvarks. I have my doubts, as he has during this whole thing, right? Badmouth them, red meat for his base there in Turkey, and then actions speak another way that he's acting. You know what I mean? Actually still doing business with aardvarks as they openly commit genocide, but not according to UK. Apparently, their weapons manufacturers must keep the munitions flowing because we must continue to profiteer from genocide there out of the UK. India, aforementioned, and Aardvark land signed a bilateral investment treaty. So India doesn't seem to have any problem here with old Smotrick there and his Indian counterpart signed the agreement. And so India doesn't seem to have a problem with genocide whatsoever, as I believe they're turning a blind eye for economic interests. There you go. The Gaza Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health in the Gaza Strip recorded 6 deaths in the past 24 hours due to famine and malnutrition, including 2 children, bringing the total deaths from malnutrition to 393, including 140 children there in Gaza as the siege continues. Weaponized hunger. Here's Trump quickly. They're leveling the whole place right now as we speak. The aardvarks are leveling Gaza City as we speak.
I think we're going to have a deal on Gaza very soon. It's a hell of a problem.
What gives you
Again, it's a problem we want to solve for.
There's going to be no deal. They're leveling the whole friggin' place right now. Who arms Aardvark land? Well, that's a good question. Who's complicit in genocide? Let's take a look at this nice little infographic from Clash Report. Well, 69% comes out of U.S. arms for Aardvark land. Oh, Germany, we did not see this coming. 30% coming out of Germany, and then Italy down there at little old 1%. So, yeah, and UK missed the mark. Missed the mark, but they are trying, and this is data from old data, actually from 2019 to 2023. So I'm sure UK is trying to raise their percentage on that list, as evidenced by the announcement today of not saying it's genocide. So aardvarks are bombing everywhere all around them continually. Lebanese Ministry of Health announces that 5 people were killed and 5 wounded in aardvark strikes in eastern Lebanon over the last 24 hours. They're all Hezbollah, though, as Hezbollah says they will not disarm. 4 aardvark soldiers were killed. The IDF announced the deaths of 3 soldiers who were killed in the Gaza Strip and added 1 more. Here they are, all looking very young, thrown into the meat grinder. You see? As continued reports of IDF deaths and suicides increase daily here now. So they're suffering some casualties as well. There was a big, there was a shooting there in the occupied Jerusalem. Here's Netanyahu, Aardvark Prime Minister, Shadow President of America, Bibi, following the shooting operation in occupied Jerusalem this morning, that he will go after more terrorists in the West Bank. And again, you have to question, are these legitimate terrorist attacks, or are they staged up false flags as to give a pretext for annexation of West Bank, as has been announced as the purpose, the intention by Smotrich and others, as we continue to report here. Let's hear, of course, the damn terrorists.
יום קשה במלחמה שלנו בטרור. שני מחבלים מתועבים באים לתחנת אוטובוס, יורים באוטובוס, רוצחים 6 מאזרחינו היקרים. אני שולח תנחומים למשפחות, ואני שולח גם איחולי החלמה לפצועים. זה שחיסלנו את שני המחבלים האלה זה לא מספיק. זה שנלך אחרי התומכים והסייענים גם זה לא מספיק. ההנחיה שלי היא ללכת בעוצמה נגד קיני הטרור. אנחנו כבר חיסלנו קיני טרור במחנות פליטים, ב3. פשוט פינינו את האוכלוסייה משם ושיטחנו את כל תשתיות הטרור. וההנחיה שלי לעשות את זה בקיני טרור נוספים. אני נמצא עכשיו בבור של חיל האוויר. אני הבטחתי לכם לפני ימים אחדים שאנחנו נפיל את מגדלי הטרור בעזה. זה בדיוק מה שאנחנו עושים. ביומיים האחרונים 50 מגדלים כאלה נפלו. חיל האוויר הוריד אותם. עכשיו כל זה רק מבוא, רק ספתח לפעולה העצימה העיקרית, וזה תמרון קרקעי של כוחותינו שמתארגנים עכשיו ומתכנסים לתוך העיר עזה. ולכן אני אומר לתושבי עזה, אני מנצל את ההזדמנות הזאת ותקשיבו לי טוב, ראו הוזהרתם, צאו משם.
You've been warned, get out. And so yeah, he warned them, get out. They brought down 50 towers in Gaza in the past 2 days is what they're saying. Aardvark Lions destroyed 50 buildings in Gaza in the past 24 hours. I think we have video of this, one of these. Aardvark Land warns of mighty hurricane in Gaza if Hamas does not surrender. They're going in. It's a hurricane of strikes there on Gaza, leveling the place, literally. Here's we have more from Defense Minister Katz. He says, today a powerful hurricane will strike the skies of Gaza City and the roofs of the terror towers will. This is a final warning to the murderers and rapists of Hamas in Gaza and in luxury hotels abroad. Release the hostages, lay down your weapons, or Gaza will be destroyed and you will be annihilated. There you go. The IDF continues as planned and is preparing to expand the maneuver to decisively defeat Gaza. More from Katz. He says, I grieve the vile murder of 6 innocent civilians by evildoers in this morning's terror attack in Jerusalem. According to Aardvark Lands Channel 12, the number of Aardvark settlers killed in the shooting operation in occupied Jerusalem has risen to 7, with 17 injured. Dashcam footage shows the moment the shooting at the Ramot Settlement Junction. Yeah, we're not even going to play that clip, but all that went on. And then here is back to Gaza. Here's video of them. Aardvark's campaign to destroy Gaza continues. They're literally going to level the whole place. There you have it. Spain. So we need to sanction Spain, potentially drone Spain, ban Spain from the UN. What the hell? Spain bans aardvark-bound weapons ships and planes over Gaza. Report out of Reuters here. And I think we do have video of the Spanish Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez. He's unveiled a series of measures aimed at ending the genocide in Gaza. These include closing Spanish ports to aardvark ships carrying defense systems, shutting Spanish airspace to all aircraft transporting weapons or ammunition to aardvark land, barring tankers supplying fuel to the aardvark army from docking at Spanish ports, introducing legislation to impose a comprehensive arms embargo on aardvark land. Sounds like they need to be sanctioned by the State Department to me. Let's hear now from them, translated into English subtitles, speaking in Spanish. The government of Spain believes.
España cree que una cosa es proteger tu país, proteger a tu sociedad, y otra muy distinta, bombardear hospitales y matar de hambre a niños y a niñas inocentes. Lo que el primer ministro Netanyahu presentó en octubre de 2023 como una operación militar de respuesta a los atroces atentados terroristas de Hamás ha acabado convirtiéndose en una nueva oleada de ocupaciones ilegales, en un ataque injustificable contra la población civil palestina. Un ataque que la relatora especial de las Naciones Unidas y la mayoría de expertos califican ya como un genocidio. Los datos hablan por sí solos. 63.000 muertos, 159.000 heridos y heridas, 250.000 personas en riesgo de desnutrición aguda y casi 2 millones de personas desplazadas de su hogar, la mitad de ellas son menores de edad. Esto no es defenderse, no es ni siquiera atacar, es exterminar a un pueblo que está indefenso, es quebrantar todas las leyes del derecho humanitario.
There you have it. Denver says F aardvark land. I hope a limited meteor. Well, did you see her the report? UK says everything's fine. The munitions supplies will continue. So counter what the old Spanish Prime Minister Sanchez says right there. So I mean, Big Brother, the Home Office told us their project there in West Asia is just perfectly fine. Denver. We can trust the UK, right? Big Brother wouldn't lie to us. But they've lost the propaganda war here, as you can see, as we continue to report. The world is turning against aardvark land and America for its support. Colombia's coal exports dropped sharply after ban on sales to aardvark land. So maybe economics. India said, "Screw it, we don't care. We're signing a deal with them. The economy will continue. We will continue to profiteer off of this genocidal nation." But we have more reports about pushback. Group urges Montreal mayor to exclude aardvark cycling team from Grand Prix cyclists. Whoop-de-doo, right? But I mean, it's like more and more pushback here. Italy fans turn back on aardvark anthem and hold protest signs here at a soccer match over there in Italy. Fans once again turn their backs in protest during Aardvarkland national anthem ahead of their 2026 World Cup qualifying game. And so they're speaking out in Italy. They're the fans of these soccer teams, you see. And so a little, they've lost the public, except for those thoroughly brainwashed by their Schofield Bible. Swiss medics stage hunger strike outside parliament over Gaza genocide. Swiss medical professionals began a hunger strike outside the parliament today to protest Aardvark Land's war on Gaza, urging Bern to adopt a tougher stance on Aardvark Land. The medics are participating in pairs, wearing stethoscopes and medical tourniquets stained with fake blood, and are taking turns fasting for 24 hours in reply in a relay throughout September parliamentary session there in Switzerland. Here's some images of them doing their protest. It's growing here. I mean, we got a lot of sanctions and droning to do here in America to shut down the anti-Aardvark sentiment around the world. That's for sure. And some images of that protest in Switzerland. Smotrich says the Palestinian Authority must disappear from the map, and the villages from which the terrorists came should look like Rafah and Beit Hanun, level the whole place, which is what they're going to do to the West Bank next. Which is what they're going to do there next. They're clearing out the entire area for Greater Aardvark Land project. Aardvark PM tells Gaza City residents to leave now. Again. There you go. Leave now. A Houthi drone strike on Aardvark Airport in a rare hit on Aardvark Land steps up Gaza City attacks. And so they did. The Houthis there out of Yemen were able to hit the Aardvark Land Airport with, was it a drone? A drone fired by Yemen Houthi rebels breached Aardvark Land's multi-layered air defense yesterday and slammed into the country's southern airport, the Aardvark Land military said, blowing out glass windows. Yeah, and there was video of it, so not really that much damage done. Let's see, was anybody hurt? The attack follows, so it's ongoing there, and no reports of any casualties, wounding one person and briefly shutting down commercial airspace. Palestinian prisoners not given adequate food, Aardvark top court says. In a rare ruling, Aardvark Land Superior Court says Aardvark Land deprives Palestinian prisoners of food. It's kind of their thing, weaponizing starvation. In a highly rare, this is a report out of AP, by the way. I'm sure you can find it all over your mainstream webs there. It goes on to say, in a highly rare exercise of wartime legal restraint, Aardvark Land Superior Court ruled yesterday that the Aardvark government has deprived Palestinian detainees of even a basic subsistence diet and ordered authorities to increase the amount and improve the quality of food served to deprived Palestinian inmates. And Ben-Gvir going there constantly taunting them as well. I don't think they're going to listen to it. They don't care at this point. They're completely bloodthirsty and just out of their minds. That is Smotrich, Ben-Gvir, Netanyahu, the whole crew that we've come to know and love. In an unexpected 2-1 decision, the court furthermore accepted the petition filed last year by the Association for Civil Rights in Aardvark Land. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Saying that Aardvark Rights Group, siding with their allegations that the government's deliberate restriction on prisoners' food in Aardvark detention facilities has caused Palestinians to suffer malnutrition and starvation. That's kind of their policy. and then to continually lie about it and say it's not even happening. You know what I mean? So it is a surprising decision there. And that's all we have for today at Weaponized News for you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. Psychopaths that all deserve execution much more than any person. Yeah. 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 Yeah, I agree with you there, Denver. It's just beyond the pale. Bloodthirsty maniacs, war criminals, genocidal, bloodthirsty maniacs is your aardvark government there now. Just beyond the pale. Spain sees it. I don't know. Maybe Spain are Hamas terrorists too. I guess we have to consider that possibility. No matter how absurd it all sounds, I'm sure U.S. State Department will be labeling them, enemy combatants soon. Who knows? We have maniacs on both sides here. Let me go to the channels quickly. And things are just starting to kick off there in Gaza City and the West Bank. Expect more and more just destroy everything is what they're going to do here now. Over to the Odysee. Shout out to Gurr. John says, America still under state of emergency from the alleged bat disease. No, I think they did. I don't know. Federally. I don't know. That's a good one. We need to revisit. I think we're still in emergency from freaking World War II. I don't know. There's a lot of emergencies that are hanging out there that could be enforced at any time. And they seem to declare them, but never, repeal them and say the emergency's over, the government saved you, and go back to your regular operating procedures. John says on the Odysee, if Orange Man is talking about God, he must mean Baal. That is their one of their occult gods that they do these blood sacrifices to, for sure. Would you trust any bodily fluid pronounced by a group famous for poisoning wells? Man, it's wild. It is wild. Shout out to Highland on the Odysee, and he says, John says, I concur with your statement about a collusion between governments, including ones claiming to be adversaries. It sure looks like that. You know what I mean? But again, we have different levels. On one level, they're all in the club, smoking cigars, as your stereotypical conspiracy would be, men in the smoky rooms, right? But then other levels is very real. Hey, national governments are opposed to each other, and we're sending out our soldiers to kill each other. They will, and they are. You know what I mean? So there's different levels of this thing that if we can get people to understand and say, no, we're not going along with this because we know you guys are a part of the conspiracy in the smoky room. And I'm not going to go kill that Russian because you guys say how bad they are. Because you're all laughing it up. You, Trump, Putin, all the rest of you jokers, at the end of the day, as part of the one world government conspiracy, sending the poor out to go die in your wars. And it's disgusting. Thank you for tuning in on Odysee. Appreciate it. The Rumble chat, lively as always. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the Rumble. I was able to get the chat stream through today. Gunther chimed in at the beginning there. Shout out to Gunther. Carrie, Canine Paws. Shout out to you. I did see Pamela, Denver. Anybody I missed, shout out to you guys. Thank you for keeping the chat lively and going on. The Rumble, appreciate it. The Bitchute, they fixed some. They didn't fix others. Shout out to Bitchute live audience as we're still trying to get all of our shows loaded up to Bitchute. Hopefully they straighten that out. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. Thank you to everybody for tuning in on those channels. As always, everybody, do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Monday evening, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday for more.